it's different this time. An early crypto bull market seems just too good to be true every single cycle, doesn't it? It just seems too good to be true that we'll get an early bull market. In this video, we are approaching this point in time where Bitcoin and crypto has yet again the decision to make. Are we about to enter an early bull market this cycle around, or is there going to be finally, after this nice move all year long, some consolidation going into the halving before the real bull market begins? In this video, I want to break down exactly what I'm watching for to happen on these charts, which will trigger the early bull market. So please, everybody, hit the subscribe, the like, turn notifications on, and let's jump into the video. For just context into what really could actually trigger this move and these indicators to absolutely be broken, here's the macroeconomic highlights. This was summed up very nicely the other day by Jeff Ross over here on X. Inflation down, and keep in mind the narratives around these, the headlines that will basically tell these stories. Inflation down, interest rates way down, US dollar down, dovish Fed pivot. As we go into 2024, this is what we're looking at. Initial jobless claims still low, retail sales recovering, mortgage rates lower, housing market recovering. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, they're not seeing it, right? They're not seeing this yet. Remember, decades of data. The year before the recession is usually worse for the markets. We've gone through it. The worst is over, in my view, in terms of especially risk on assets. U.S. manufacturing bottoming, U.S. services still expansionary, global M2 spiking, bullish across the board for risk assets and Bitcoin. Until something changes, pity the bears. So I think it just does a really good job of summing up all of the bullish narratives from a macroeconomic perspective. And I know a lot of people are just so bearish on the economy and what's going on. But I want to remind you something, even on a Bitcoin chart. When it comes to narratives and when it comes to the emotional aspect of markets and influencing people and the human beings behind all of these markets, we have elections coming up in November 2024. You better believe the administration wants some nice bullish narratives floating around. For context, elections of November 2020, check it out. Bull market doors being broken. So I wanted to mention that. Macroeconomic points. Now we have this. We have other things going on within crypto itself. Firms feel confident the SEC will approve spot Bitcoin ETFs after January 8th. So it looks like, I think, between 8th and the 10th of January. This is from today. I just saw this. And this is the anticipation right now. Whatever happens in the short term with this news being announced, I'm not sure. Maybe we dip in the short term when this finally happens. Maybe things are priced in, but the long term, when we start talking about the zoomed out charts of Bitcoin and breaking into a bull market and the next cycle of the bull market, this is huge. The spot Bitcoin ETF, trillions of dollars, everybody, coming into the space. And then the other flip side of it, outside of Bitcoin, is this. I did a video on this the other day, 30 days, and this was 2 days ago, 30 days until the hearing on Coinbase's motion for judgment on the pleadings. Motion to dismiss, as you remember, Coinbase calling for in the SEC case. If Coinbase wins, it will be total rebuke of SEC's regulation by enforcement campaign against crypto. We're going to get insight into this in less than a month. While the Ripple case was enormously consequential, this one is for all the marbles. What impact could this have on crypto space? What impact could this have in a potential early bull market? So now let's talk about the charts, what I'm watching for, in particular the Bitcoin chart. So I want to start here, and then I'm going to look at a couple indicators that I'm really going to be keeping my eye on. I want to start by laying the groundwork. As you know, these cycles, I wait for the bull market doors to be broken, at least tested. Look at Bitcoin. Even on the weekly, this is a weekly chart. Look at this current weekly candle. I don't know if we're going to get the retracement or not. There's some things to keep an eye on, but just look how close. The bull market door is sitting just above Bitcoin, like 8%, and we're starting to knock on those bull market doors, right? 8%. The reason why I track this is a lower high macro area. When Bitcoin breaks this area, it is a massive. It's a massive just shift into this next higher high momentum bull cycle. Now, previous cycles, and then we're going to show you these indicators. Previous cycles, I just want to point this out. Bitcoin pre-halving tested the bull market doors. And you can see Bitcoin's getting ready to test this area potentially again, pre-Bitcoin halving. So this was 2019. Those doors were tested and it failed. And Bitcoin didn't break the bull market doors until post-halving. And then we go back to 2015. Check it out. Swing high, bull market high to bear market low. Bitcoin pre-halving, right before the halving, Bitcoin tested the doors and failed. Now here's what I want to do. I want to bring up, let me remove these. I want to bring up a couple indicators because right now, if we're trying to identify, is it going to happen? This would be a first for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can break the bull market doors prior to the halving, this would be a first. And by the way, we have a target. There is a target, a pattern target of this entire bear cycle, basically, this falling wedge of around $65,000. We go to that chart we were just looking at. Why is that so notable? Because check it out. Above those bull market doors is the $65,000 target. Bitcoin could hit this target. And it's the macroeconomic narratives and things playing out. It's the Bitcoin spot ETF. It's the Coinbase case. Everything could trigger this to happen earlier. There's no guarantees, but here's what I'm watching for. Let me bring up some indicators. So I want to bring up, and I'm really hyped to have some extra indicators instead of just waiting on the bull market doors this cycle around. I want to bring up this price action concepts. Now, this is giving us, and I think I mentioned this before, and this is Lux Algo indicators, this break of structure happening here after this change of character, this is something that does happen previous cycles, and it really kind of signifies, hey, we're getting ready to enter the bull market. Change of character, and then a break of structure. See that? Now, the last cycle happened after the Bitcoin halving. So look how early it's happening this time around with all of these narratives happening right now. And then if we go back to a cycle before that, check it out. We have break of structure right after a change of character, and Bitcoin was up only, right? Heading towards those bull market doors back then. So that's number one. We're getting these signals that are saying we are in up only mode. And this is just historical context, historical data that we see playing out on the chart. But check this out. If we open, and actually, you know what I want to do? Because this is what I'm waiting for. This is what I'm absolutely waiting for. It's the bull market doors being broken as opposed to right here failing. Exactly what happened back here. So what I want to do, I want to go back here to when Bitcoin failed, and I want to see what do we want not to happen. And I want to bring up, at the same time, I want to bring up the signals and overlays and the price action concepts by Lux Algo. And I want to just go back and I want to replay what happened back here. Bitcoin failing and what were the indicators saying? Because right now we're looking for the indicators to basically do opposite of what we saw back here. But this is where we were able to kind of find this data which might offer some caution into the current charts. But check it out. Bitcoin making its way to those bull market doors before failing into the downside. This is what we don't want to happen this time around. So check it out. Let's go watch what Bitcoin did back then. So you can see it cruising to the upside. And then here's what starts happening. You can see, and I want you to keep a note on this blue. This blue area is a smart trail. That's when it triggers blue, it's an uptrend is basically triggered. It's an indicator of an uptrend. And it's just Bitcoin floating above this trailing stop area. But check out what happens. So Bitcoin on the weekly just keeps testing those bull market doors. All of a sudden, we have this change of character, a bearish change of character, right? This order book level comes into play as a huge resistance area, obviously, back there. Change of character to the downside. And then we have this smart trail in blue tested on Bitcoin, and then it fails, right? And then we see all of a sudden this trend catcher, this red line comes into play, and it's falling below that blue smart trail, and then we have a red smart trail in play. That's a whole flippening, right? That's a whole area of resistance that Bitcoin saw. This is exactly what we're trying to avoid right now. So if we go and look at the chart, what the chart is doing right now, check it out. Right now, Bitcoin is at this huge, massive, here's our bull market doors in red, but check out this order book level of resistance. We're looking at right around $45,000, just above where Bitcoin is, even lower than the bull market doors. Bitcoin is there right now, pre-halving. Are we going to get this is huge resistance. Bitcoin is at huge, massive macro resistance. This is the area, these are the indicators that are showing if Bitcoin breaks through these areas and starts entering these bull market doors prior to the halving, we are in this environment, everybody, that Bitcoin, I think, has never been in before if this happens pre-halving. And just to give you an idea, halving is in spring, right? We'll continue tracking on this weekly what happens in terms of Bitcoin. But I will say this right now. Everything going on with in the next few weeks, the Coinbase SEC, the Bitcoin spot ETF, if anything is going to propel Bitcoin through this massive resistance so that Bitcoin does opposite of what happened back here when it fell, change of character to the downside, and all of a sudden all this resistance to the downside, if there's anything that's going to propel Bitcoin through these areas, it's going to be what's happening in the next few weeks. And that is to say, pre-halving, Bitcoin spot ETF approvals, SEC case versus Coinbase dismissed. And saying that out loud, it's a little scary because I don't know if the Coinbase SEC case is going to be dismissed. I don't know if it's going to be in our favor, everybody. But if it is, I'll tell you what, that is going to be a massive trigger, obviously not just for Bitcoin either, but for altcoins. But right now, I think it is very safe to say from even just historical context, going back, there is, and I'm going all the way back now to pre-halving 2016, we're in this similar area where there's a lot of resistance potentially in play at this area, which is the lower high Fibonacci bull market doors. So all in all, if Bitcoin does start falling, we want to see on this chart the smart trail support, right? We don't want to see this turn, this blue line that we see hitting in May 2016 pre-halving. We don't want to see it turn red like we kind of saw briefly the last cycle around right here, turning red pre-halving. We don't want to see that. But if there is retracement, if we don't get this early bull market that we're talking about in this video, we have this smart trail down here and there's room for consolidation, right? So we'll continue tracking this, but this resistance area, this is it. If Bitcoin breaks through this area, we are in an environment in crypto like we've never seen before. And that's just going to be exciting. I don't know what's going to happen prior to Bitcoin halving. I don't know what's going to happen in the next month going into all these huge news events. But I do know one thing. If these doors get broken, if this resistance gets broken, it is going to be fun. So as we continue to monitor these markets on the short term, obviously things are consolidating. You see Bitcoin on the daily just consolidating right at this 20-day moving average. It's still trying to put in these higher highs, higher lows. We wait to see on the short term. But as we do wait, I think what's most important is analyzing and understanding what's going on in the long term. And we are at key resistance. But if it breaks, it'll be like nothing we've seen before. Everybody, I appreciate you cruising through. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, turn notifications on. I will be continuing to update you all on Bitcoin news, crypto news, analysis, all that good stuff. So I'll see you in the next video. God bless.